Hi, it's Nurse Cathy. It's time for 5 on Fridays. Well, it's been a little bit of a rainy week, but we've gotten through it, so I hope everyone has survived all this rain and a little bit of chilly weather that's been out there. So this week we're going to talk about Halloween safety. We're not really sure what trick-or-treat will look like this year. Previously, where I live, it's always been a pretty big celebration with everyone sitting outside with their fire pits, passing out candy. Those that have little fur babies, they've got their fur babies dressed up in costumes. And then we even have someone that has a large screen out the front yard and they're streaming the football games. But we're not for sure it's going to be like that this year. So I wanted to give you a few tips on how to stay safe but yet still have fun. Well, my first tip is to trick-or-treat as a family. You want to trick-or-treat, you want to walk in a single line, and mom and dad, you need to be at the back of the line so you can count heads as you travel down the sidewalk. Now, ideally, it'd be perfect if you had a neighborhood where you could have one directional traffic on the sidewalks, but that's probably not a reality. So as you're walking the sidewalks, you're going to have two-way foot traffic. So the best thing to do is to make sure as you're walking that you stay to the far right of whichever side of the sidewalk that you're on. Now you can see right here we have put arrows along the side of the sidewalk to demonstrate how far over you should be. We've also put up reminders about being 6 foot apart with the distancing as you walk. Well, we've talked about how to navigate the sidewalks as you tricker through your neighborhood, but let's talk about your own home. How you can maintain some safety here with the trick-or-treaters and yourself and still have a fun time. Well, we're using a lot of signage at our house, and we made a special trip again to the dollar store and got some cute little decorations that we could put out so that we could space 6 feet apart on our drive. We also created signs that have an in, an out, and then we have a stop station for the trees. Now let's talk about how we're going to pass the candy out. Now once again, I went to the dollar store and tried to be creative. In everybody's kitchen, they usually have tongs. So I got my kitchen tongs out and I decorated them with skeleton arms. So this will allow me to dip into my candy and pass the candy off to the children without having any direct contact with them. Another tool I thought about was if someone's on their porch and they didn't want the children up near their door, what they can do is they can decorate their gripper grabber. So I took my gripper grabber and went to the dollar store again, decorated the gripper grabber, and this one's so easy to reach in your bucket of candy like this, and you can just drop it right into their pails. And plus have a little bit of fun with having it decorated and surprise the kids. Now I've got a couple of my Halloween helpers that are going to demonstrate how we can safely pass out candy. Here comes the first trick-or-treater. Trick-or-treat. Oh, some candy for you. And here's our next one. Trick-or-treat. All right.
Thank you. Happy Halloween.
There you go. Now, if this large gripper grabber is a little bit too bulky for you and you're not having to pass out candy from the porch, the dollar store does have a smaller one, and it's a version that'll work just as well as this one. Now let's talk about the costume. Everyone should have a face mask on. But remember, cloth face masks, you should not paint on them because the paint may have a toxin. So you wouldn't want your trick-or-treater walking around breathing those toxins in from the paint. Suppose you aren't able to wear a face mask for whatever reason you can't wear one or tolerate it. Your next option or alternative would be a face shield. And my helpers here are going to demonstrate a face shield. Great. Also remember that a plastic mask does not substitute for a cloth mask. The next thing you need to remember, to make sure that the costume fits appropriately. You don't want it so long that the trick-or-treater might trip over it, or you don't want anything hanging from the sleeves that in case there be an open flame that could possibly catch fire. You want to make sure that their shoes fit appropriately because they're going to be doing a lot of walking. Now for those of you who aren't trick-or-treating this year, there are some other options that you can do at home and still have a lot of fun. So you might consider a virtual costume party, or you might consider a scavenger hunt at your home. And the other thing is you might decide on a movie night. And if it's nice weather, maybe you could possibly stream it outside, have a little campfire, fire pit going, have some popcorn, make some s'mores, but you can maybe do some outside activities. So let's talk about after everyone gets home with their haul of candy. What are we going to do with all this candy? So what happens at our house is the switch will come in the evening. And what will happen is the kids will go through their candy. They're allowed to keep a certain portion of the candy. Then the remainder goes into a large bowl. And then that night when they go to sleep, it's sat out for the switch. Now the switch is a good witch. And she will take the candy and she donates it to those less fortunate or who are unable to trick or treat. She seems to fly over like homeless shelters, or sometimes she can even find a donation box for our military, and the candy is sent overseas. So in return for that, the Switch Witch will leave the kids a small token of appreciation, a gift for their generosity. It might be, say, a new toothbrush, with a really cool new toothbrush with toothpaste, or it might be a book or just something small to thank them for their generosity. Well, that's all for me, and I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. I want to thank my 2 Halloween helpers, Keegan and Sophie, for everything that they've done today to help with the video. And then also just a few reminders. I want to remind you to get your flu shot. If you haven't done so, remember CDC recommends that you get your flu shot before the end of October. And then I want to remind you to tune in to listen to Ashley on Monday. She's going to talk about healthy Halloween treats. Now, I think my helpers have another little message for you. And we want to tell everyone, Happy Halloween! And there's one more thing too. Don't forget, it's the big weekend. The Bucks are playing. So what do we say, guys? OHIO!